Welcome to our English story series. Today, you'll learn English through the inspiring life of Louis Vuitton, the homeless boy who built a fashion empire. This is a story of courage, struggle, and determination. Are you ready? Let's begin. A humble beginning. Louis was born in 1821, in a small village in eastern France. The village was called Anchy. It was quiet, simple, and full of nature, forests, rivers, and old wooden houses. Louis's family was poor. Very poor. His father was a carpenter. He worked hard but earned little. His mother was a milliner. She made and sold hats. She was kind, creative, and full of love. But life wasn't easy. When Louis was only 10, his mother passed away. It broke his heart. His father remarried, but his stepmother was cold and strict. She never showed him affection. Louis often felt like he didn't belong. He spent most of his time alone, dreaming of a bigger world, a better life, a purpose. A silent decision. One day, when Louis was 13, he made a silent decision. I'm leaving this place. I will go to Paris. He didn't have a map. He didn't have money. He didn't even have proper shoes. But he had something powerful, a dream. Paris was over 400 kilometers away, more than 250 miles. He didn't care. He started walking. The journey begins. Louis walked for 2 years. Yes, 2 years. He didn't travel fast. He would stop at small towns, ask for food, offer to help people, and sometimes sleep in barns or under the stars. He worked odd jobs, cleaning stables, carrying goods, sweeping streets. Sometimes he went hungry. Sometimes he got sick. Sometimes people shouted at him. But he never stopped. He never gave up. Subscribe for more inspiring stories like this, and improve your English with real-life legends. Reaching Paris. When Louis was 16, he finally reached Paris. It was huge, loud, and full of opportunity and danger. He had no home, no family, no job. He was a homeless boy in one of the busiest cities in Europe. But Louis didn't complain. He looked for work, any kind of work. And one day, luck came. He saw a sign. Apprentice needed, box maker and packer. Louis went inside. The shop was small, filled with wooden boxes and leather trunks. The owner was Monsieur Marichal, a master packer. He helped wealthy people pack their things carefully for travel. This job was serious, delicate, and important, especially for the rich. Louis asked, "Sir, I will work hard. Please teach me." Marichal looked at him. The boy was thin, dirty, but his eyes were strong. "All right," said the master. "You start tomorrow." Learning the craft, Louis became an apprentice. He worked with wood, leather, nails, glue. He learned how to build trunks that were not just boxes, but art. He worked quietly, carefully, and with great passion. Other apprentices laughed at him. "You're too serious," they said. "You'll never be rich." But Louis didn't listen. He had his own voice inside. "I'm not building boxes. I'm building a future." A reputation grows in just a few years. Louis became one of the best packers in Paris. He didn't just make trunks, he designed them. Elegant, strong, waterproof, custom-made. Soon, rich families started asking for him by name. "Is Louis Vuitton available?" He became known for his attention to detail. Every trunk had a purpose. Every corner was perfect. He didn't just pack items, he protected dreams. A new beginning, but Louis wanted more. He wanted his own name on his own shop. He saved money. He planned. He dreamed. And one day, he saw a small workshop for rent. It wasn't big. It wasn't pretty. But it was his chance. He took a deep breath and stepped inside. "This is where it begins," he whispered. "Enjoying the story so far? Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a chapter." End of Part 1. You've just finished Part 1 of the incredible story of Louis Vuitton. From a poor village boy to an apprentice in Paris, his journey has just begun. In the next part, you'll see how Louis rises, faces challenges, and becomes one of the most famous names in the world of fashion and luxury. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this story with your friends. Learning English can be inspiring, just like this story. Part 2. The Rise of a Brand. Louis stood inside his small workshop. It was quiet, dusty, and smelled like wood and glue. But to him, it was perfect. This was not just a place to work, it was a place to create. He put a small sign outside. "Louis Vuitton, Trunk Maker." At first, customers were rare. Days passed with no one coming in. But Louis used the time to design better trunks, lighter, stronger, and more elegant than ever before. Soon word spread. "There's a young man making amazing travel trunks," people said. One day, a carriage stopped outside. A well-dressed woman stepped in. "Are you Louis?" she asked. "Yes, madam," he replied. "I heard you make the best trunks in Paris. I need one. For a very important trip." That woman was Eugénie de Montijo, the wife of Napoleon III, Emperor of France. Louis was shocked. Nervous. But ready. He listened to her carefully, took notes, and promised, "You will have the best trunk in all of France." That one order changed his life. Soon, the royal family became his client. Then other nobles. Then wealthy travelers from around the world. Louis didn't just make trunks now. He made a name. Innovation in a box. In 1858, Louis introduced something new, a flat-top trunk. Before this, trunks had rounded tops, so water would run off. But they were hard to stack. Louis's flat-top trunks were revolutionary. Easy to stack, easy to transport, and beautiful. He also used a special canvas, strong, waterproof, and light. His designs became famous. But with fame came problems. Competitors started copying him. Fake trunks appeared everywhere. People used his name without permission. So Louis began marking his trunks with unique patterns. At first, checkerboards. Later, his son would create the famous LV monogram, but that part of the story is still to come. A family man with a vision. Louis had a son, Georges. He taught him everything. Not just how to build trunks, but how to think, how to dream. Georges was smart, curious, and full of energy. Father and son worked side by side. They weren't just building luggage, they were building a legacy. Louis often said, "It's not about making money. It's about making something that lasts." Hard times come. But not everything was smooth. In 1870, war broke out, the Franco-Prussian War. Paris was attacked. The economy fell. Shops closed. People lost hope. Louis's shop was damaged. His tools were stolen. Business stopped. For months, Louis and his family had nothing. They ate very little, lived in fear, and wondered if the dream was over. But Louis refused to quit. When the war ended, he started again, from scratch. He found a small shop on a new street, 1 Rue Scribe. It was near a big luxury hotel where rich travelers stayed. He took a risk. Used all his savings. Rebuilt everything. And it worked. A star is born. By 1885, Louis Vuitton had stores not only in Paris but also in London. His name was now a symbol of quality. of style, of strength. And yet he stayed humble. Simple clothes. Quiet life. Always working. People asked, "What's the secret to your success?" He said, "I listened. I learned. And I never stopped." End of part 2. From a small workshop to royal clients, from war to rebuilding, Louis's story is proof that determination creates opportunity. In part 3, you'll learn how George takes the brand to the next level, and how the LV monogram is born. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and come back for the next episode of our English story series. Part 3, Legacy in Motion. Georges Vuitton grew up watching his father work with passion and precision. When Louis got older, Georges took on more responsibility. He was not just a helper, he was the future of the brand. After Louis passed away in 1892, Georges took control. He was just 31 years old, but full of bold ideas. One of his biggest goals? Make Louis Vuitton international. The monogram is born. In 1896, Georges created the LV monogram canvas. It was more than a pattern. It was a statement. The monogram had flowers, caterpillars, and of course, the initials L and V. It was beautiful, unique, and, most importantly, hard to copy. Georges knew that brand identity was power. The monogram protected their work, and made every piece instantly recognizable. Today, that monogram is one of the most iconic symbols in the world. Crossing borders. Georges wasn't afraid to dream big. He traveled to the US and opened a Louis Vuitton store in New York. He made partnerships in London, Bombay, Buenos Aires, and Shanghai. Everywhere he went, he shared the story. "Once, my father was a homeless boy. Now his name carries around the world." People listened. People respected the legacy. Innovation never stops. Under Georges, the company introduced more styles. Wardrobe trunks. Hat boxes. Steamer bags. Each one met a traveler's need. Each one followed the same rule: elegant, strong, functional. Georges also patented locks that were nearly impossible to break. He even challenged escape artist Harry Houdini to break one. Houdini never responded. Smart move. A lasting legend. By the early 20th century, Louis Vuitton had become more than a trunk maker. It was a luxury brand built on hard work, quality, and family. And the journey wasn't over. Georges' son Gaston Louis would continue the legacy. From generation to generation, the Vuitton family carried the same dream: to make something that lasts forever. End of part 3. From apprentice to empire, from hand tools to global stores, this is not just a story about fashion. It's a story about vision, courage, and never giving up. In part 4, we'll see how Louis Vuitton becomes a modern icon, and how the brand adapts to a changing world. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and keep learning English through real stories like this one. Part 4: A Heart Left Behind. Before Louis Vuitton became a global icon, there was still something deeper in the shadows of legacy: the stories we never tell. Stories not of brands, but of hearts. And one of those hearts belonged to a man who once dreamed beyond fashion, but couldn't escape love. This is the story of a friend. A man who left the city for a job. A temporary move, he told himself. A quiet village. Far from everything he knew. He was used to busy streets, tall buildings, and neon lights, not dirt roads and morning roosters. But something changed. He met her. Her name was Emily. She was different. Soft-spoken, kind, grounded. She wasn't trying to impress anyone. She was just real. They started talking. Then walking. Then spending hours under the stars, laughing about nothing and everything. Before long, they were in love. For a year and a half, life felt right. Simpler. Calmer. They shared breakfasts, helped each other with chores, built little traditions, like watching the sunrise in silence, just holding hands. He thought maybe, just maybe, he could stay. But then came the question. What about marriage? And everything stopped. He panicked. Not because he didn't love her, but because deep down, he felt it. This isn't where I belong. He wasn't a man of fields and fences. He missed the hum of the city, the ambition, the chaos, the future. He knew he couldn't build the life he dreamed of in that village. So, he left. Without warning. Without goodbye. Just silence. He thought the pain would pass. That time would erase her. But it didn't. Years went by. Still, he remembered every laugh, every glance, every "See you tomorrow?" He tried reaching out. Sent letters. Made calls. Walked the same road back more than once. But Emily had moved on. She answered politely, but never opened the door again. And that was her right. He was the one who left. And yet, every time he walks in a crowded city street, every time he sees a girl with long hair tied in a simple braid, he thinks of her. He still wonders, what if I had stayed? A future unwritten. Some stories don't end with closure. Some just stay half-finished, bookmarked in memory. But that doesn't make them any less beautiful. Love doesn't always last. But it always leaves something. He became successful. Got the city life he chased. But when he looks at old photos, he doesn't remember awards. He remembers sunrises with Emily. And maybe that's okay. Maybe not every love story needs an ending. Maybe some are just meant to live quietly in the heart. Forever. End of part 4. Not every journey is about business, and not every loss is failure. Sometimes the things we leave behind are the ones we carry with us the longest. In part 5, we'll return to the story of Louis Vuitton and explore how the brand stepped into the 21st century, shaped not only by luxury, but by legacy. Subscribe, and join us again for the next chapter of English Through Stories, where language meets life. Part 5, The Brand Reborn. As the 20th century came to an end, Louis Vuitton was no longer just a trunk maker, it was a symbol. A name that meant luxury, power, and legacy. But even legends must evolve. The world was changing. Fast. Airplanes replaced ships. Phones replaced letters. People didn't need travel trunks anymore, they needed style. Accessibility. Identity. The question was, could a brand born in the 1800s survive the digital, fast fashion era? The answer was yes. And more. The LVMH era begins. In 1987, Louis Vuitton merged with Moët Chandon and Hennessy to form LVMH, the world's largest luxury group. This changed everything. Now Louis Vuitton wasn't just about trunks and travel, it became a powerhouse of fashion, art, and culture. The brand hired visionary designers like Marc Jacobs, who launched LV's first ready-to-wear clothing line in the late 1990s. He brought in artists like Takashi Murakami and Steven Sprouse to collaborate. Suddenly, LV bags were not just leather, they were canvases. LV became cool. LV became street. LV became global. Pop culture meets tradition. Soon, the LV monogram was seen on runways in Paris, on red carpets in Hollywood, and on the arms of celebrities around the world. From hip-hop videos to Fashion Week covers, Louis Vuitton was no longer just a luxury symbol, it was a part of everyday culture. Rappers name-dropped it. Artists painted it. Influencers flaunted it. But through all this noise, the brand never forgot its roots. Quality. Craftsmanship. Detail. A Louis Vuitton product was still built to last. A new generation takes over. In recent years, Louis Vuitton made bold moves. Hired Virgil Abloh, the first African-American artistic director of LV's menswear. Collaborated with brands like Supreme, Nike, and even Lego. Released limited collections that sold out in minutes. Focused on sustainability and innovation. The brand was no longer just adapting, it was leading. LV became more than a label. It became a lifestyle. And through all of it, the spirit of Louis, the homeless boy who once walked to Paris, remained. Full circle. Sometimes, the past speaks louder in the future. People still buy LV not just because it's beautiful, but because it carries a story. A story of a boy with no money, no name, no map, just a dream. That story lives in every stitch, every seam, every symbol. And when you carry a Louis Vuitton item today, you carry that journey. From the forests of Anchi to the skyline of Tokyo. From silent workshops to fashion runways. From Emily's memory to Georges' vision. Louis Vuitton is not just a brand. It's proof that legacy can walk through time and still shine. End of part 5. And that, dear listener, is the story of Louis Vuitton. Not just a homeless boy's rise, but a legacy built on dreams, pain, love, and unbreakable will. Thank you for joining this journey. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this series with other English learners. Because every great story starts with a step.